Welcome to the first episode of Series 80, everyone. This month we are covering romance games, but not just romance games, specifically duo or solo play romance games. And this week, I am pleased to have with us guest co-host and previous guest of the show, Senda Linaugh. Together, we are covering the game Breaking the Ice by Emily Care Boss. But before we get to all of that, here's what to expect in the calls to action after the show. Did you know that I edit a whole bunch of stuff on the network? It's true. I will have a rundown, quick or not, of those projects in the calls to action after the show. But aside from that, we have our normal Patreon information as well as our patron thank yous. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this month we are covering RPGs that have a romantic theme to them, but are also geared towards either duo or solo play. This week, we are starting things off with the aptly named Breaking the Ice by Emily Care Boss, a game about a budding romance found in the Romance Trilogy by Emily Care Boss. I am here with my good friend Senda to examine this game and create some characters together. Senda, welcome back to the show.
I am so happy to be here as always.
I am so glad that you had a little bit of time today to join us. Because I asked you literally right at the end of the night yesterday.
I think I responded to you after midnight, so.
You did.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Now, I know it's been a while since we've had you on the show. Would you be able to reintroduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So I am Senda Linaugh. I do the Pandas Talking Games podcast, which is kind of like Car Talk, except for your TTRPG. People send us in questions. We talk about them. Getting back into historical stuff, I also did She's a Super Geek, and I am an occasional game writer and many times game player. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yep. Gnomecast as well.
Oh, yeah, I do that too.
You're all over the place.
I am all over the place.
Occasional guest on this show.
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and get into this game, and we'll start by discussing what the game is all about.
What's in a game?
Okay, so, I mean, our normal format is we ask a guest and they respond to these questions. So I think we'll just do kind of like a back and forth on each of these questions and see how it goes.
Okay.
So what are the core concepts of Breaking the Ice? Well, from what I can gather, in Breaking the Ice, two players take on the roles of a pair of characters going on their first 3 dates. And they explore what it's like to fumble through those first impressions.
Yeah, I will just add a thing, right? That I'm going to call this out on us right now. I've always been interested to play this game, but I never actually have. So we're both going to figure this out as we go. Right.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. It's a fun looking game.
It looks fantastic. Cool. But so for the setting, what sort of setting do you play in? And I think with this game, it's traditionally a modern day setting, but you can get, imaginative. You can get creative about where you put it and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of paves the way for a modern telling in different romance genres.
Yeah.
But like sci-fi, why not?
Sure.
And like fantasy, throw your Dungeons and Dragons characters into it and see what happens.
Oh, that would be fun.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you could make it work, because I think we can make those types of romance tropes work in pretty much whatever setting you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the tools that you need to play this game and how those tools are used. Basics are the shared character sheet. You've got pens and pencils and or computers to fill those sheets out. Obviously, scrap paper for notes. But the most thing you want to note is you need 12 six-sided dice to play. 9 of them are one color and 3 of them in a different color, which is interesting. But the dice symbolize different things. You need at least 3 dice, though. But the more dice you have, the faster it'll go. And the way the game works is during each turn, one player will be the active player, while the other player is the guide. And then the active player narrates their turn, and the guide awards dice based on what they're hearing, if their character would like the stuff that's happening or not. You kind of award attraction dice and whatnot, which is kind of cool.
That is cool, yeah.
And then there are 5 different roles that you have, all with D6s. And in the order that you play them, you get your attraction dice and possible bonus dice, depending on what you're doing in the scenario. We'll go over that later. Those are all rolled together, and then you can re-roll failures. And then finally, there is conflict dice and compatibility dice that you can roll at any time. And those are also based on various things.
Okay.
5s and 6s are successes. 1s through 4s are failures. And just generally, if you get 3 successes overall, that increases your attraction. If you get 4 successes or more, you create a compatibility, which is like a more permanent like attraction for the characters. And then the conflict dice can only be rolled once per turn. Compatibility dice are rolled once per turn and rolled on any tie. Not exactly sure what that means, but it sounds really interesting. And both of those can't be re-rolled. So we'll get into more of the mechanics later on during our advancement discussion, but I thought it was a really interesting, like, go through the game and get dice from the other player and then roll them and figure it out.
Right. And roll them to see if the things you're doing, are working. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
And just because you're getting dice because the things are working for the other player doesn't mean you're necessarily going to roll well, right? Like, it just increases your chances. So that's also interesting. I like that.
And the re-rolls are really interesting. We'll get to that later as well.
Even more interesting. Cool. I don't know how those work at all. All right.
Uh-huh.
So for this game, what kind of stories or themes is it meant to explore? This one probably really depends on what genre you choose. Romantic comedy, going to be different than dramatic romance, which would be different than like an action romance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there are genres, like there are tropes that definitely can thread through all of those, but I don't know. You can sit down and decide what kind of romance you want to read.
Exactly.
Play. Boy, can you tell I've been in the romance book club for a while now? Wow.
This is why I asked you specifically if you had any suggestions for games for this series.
Well, at least I had a couple. So there are some examples from the book specifically that are called out as potential types of stories or themes. And those are romantic comedy, screwball comedy / quirky romance, dark humor, dramatic romance, action, period romance, political romance, double dating, and more. There's a bunch of films and books listed sort of in Appendix N that will give you a good feel for each of the genres if you aren't familiar with them ahead of time and you want to get familiar before you play the game. The overall theme of the game is to create a fun and exciting love story through a series of 3 dates. I read a really interesting romance book for the Romance Book Club last week, and I am now thinking about if it would work for this game.
It's gotta, right?
And it's kind of wild because I don't like I said, haven't played this game before, so I'm like just putting the pieces together as we go, but like it's lining up so far. So
yeah, that's very good.
We'll see if I end up bringing it up or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I want to admit what I've been reading.
No judgment here.
Right.
All right. So what do characters actually do in this game? So as mentioned, the game is played out in 3 dates. The players tell the story of what happens on each date, where you describe the scenes, you play out in character kind of what the characters are doing. And you can give one another suggestions on what to do next. And then you roll dice to see if the characters grow closer or not, right? It's kind of the standard way to play the game. Each date is made up of 4 to 6 turns that alternate between the players. So the player whose character is in focus is the active player, and they're kind of like the narrator. And the other player is the guide during that turn. The guide awards dice to the active player for describing and playing out the events of the date, and the results could increase the attraction levels between the characters or create new compatibilities. And then the active player and the guide work together to turn these die rolls into descriptions of the couple's joys and misfortunes,
Dun, dun,
which is fun.
dun.
Yeah. And then at the end of each date, the active player makes a reality check, which rolls for new attraction. I know,
Sorry.
right? It's good.
Yeah, it is good.
So you roll a reality check for each new attraction that you gained on the date. And at the end of the 3rd date, it all figures out like where the relationship is effectively. And that reality check tries to see if your connection endures the test of the dates effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
And the dates themselves don't need to be traditional dates, like going to a movie or like, going to a park or whatever, right? They basically just represent 3 significant times that the 2 characters spent time together in their relationship. So it could be pretty much anything at that point, as long as they're together and experiencing it together.
Yep. Still thinking about the book I was reading. Perfect. What is unique about this game? So we're going to see in-character creation when we start doing it. Oh, that's exciting. But during character creation, we're going to create a word web together based off of a favorite color of our characters. These words are used to inspire your character's traits. And there's also a really interesting mechanic where you define real-world traits that you personally have and swap them with your partner. Then each of your characters embodies the other player's traits in some way. That is so cool and is totally a thing that I have also used for bleed purposes in a game, right? Like definitely have also done that. Also of note, the game does have optional rules to support up to 10 players or in the other direction to support solo play. So is it 10 players all dating each other at the same 3 dates?
I honestly don't know. I didn't look into the optional rules, but like I'm sure there is like poly-specific sort of play. There might be like a bachelorette sort of play style,
I mean, if like, this game is a wide shoes sounds great. Like Sure. Perfect.
Yeah. I'm very interested with the options that this game supports.
Yeah.
So this game was first published back all the way 20 years ago.
Oh
in
my
2000,
God.
In 2005. I know.
Oh, no.
I had to say it because it's true.
No.
And it hurts so much.
It hurts so much. Oh, goodness.
But only 9 years ago in 2016, the 2nd edition was put together into a trilogy called the Romance Trilogy. And that is alongside 2 other games, Shooting the Moon, a game about 2 individuals competing for the love of a 3rd character, as well as Under My Skin, a game about a circle of friends finding romance arising outside of existing relationships. So both of those games look fascinating in and of themselves. Shooting the Moon is another duo game.
Yeah.
2 players for that one.
You can do 3. with that one if you want to.
I think there's 3. There might even be more. Honestly, you could have. What does the rules thing say here? Up to 6 with modifications. Yeah.
With modifications, yeah. I think the original game is 2 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Under My Skin is 4 to 8 players.
Wow.
So not a duo or solo game, but definitely an interesting group game. And each of those other 2 games were also originally released in the 2005 to 2006 time period and brought into the Romance Trilogy as second editions.
Yeah, I really like Emily Carabasa's games generally. So, these ones are very interesting to me. Basic terms and concepts we may need to know before we start character creation. Are there any? I don't think there are any, probably for this game. I guess we're going to find out when we dive in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered most of it through the mechanics and everything. It's a lot of just kind of follow the rules of character creation and you'll create your character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that really stands out. We talked about the word web, which is different. It's like a brainstorming session effectively, right?
Yep.
And yeah, we'll get into it when we get into it, which is right now. Are you ready to make some people?
Let's make some people.
Let's do it.
Let's make some people.
Okay. So now we need to actually look at the book. And I believe the first thought is veils and boundaries.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, very first thing, ratings and genre probably would make the most sense, right?
Sure.
So like a lot of the words in this book describe things in kind of like a movie sense, right?
Sure.
So if we were going to be playing this, like what sort of rating would we be comfortable with from like G to R, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and maybe this is the easy way out, but my general preference for playing romance at the table with people who are not maybe intimate partners of mine already is a fade to black, right? Which makes it really easy, which means like kissing and stuff is on the table. But if you start taking off people's clothes, then you just, fade to black and then you start again from, putting on your boots. Like
it's effectively a PG-13
it's kind of a PG-13
zone, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think that's pretty appropriate. We can stick around there. That should be fine.
Sure.
And then I think we figure out the genre next. Let's see. So what sort of genre do you like? There's quite a bit.
So sometimes it's easier to narrow it down by things that I'm not interested in and then see if that pings anything for you.
Sure.
I'm not usually into like Western romances.
Yeah. No, I'm
like
right
small
there with
town. I'm like, but it can be fun to recreate like Hallmark romances and like period romances are fun.
I do like period. I also like weird and different, like I was saying, sci-fi or like fantasy style. Would be a fun creative exercise.
Yeah.
To figure out what sort of dates you go on at that point.
I'm thinking about, there's a book on my TBR right now that is a time travel sapphic romance that I really want to read that I haven't read yet. I think time travel might be challenging in a game. I think that.
Well, we don't need to play it.
Well, no, that's true.
We just need to create characters for it.
What? Oh no. See, now I'm having this.
Because time travel is my jam.
Okay.
Time travel, like 100% my jam.
I'm having this is how you lose the time war. Feels about it. So
yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to do time travel romance?
Yeah. Does that from a genre perspective tell us enough about what we're creating, or do we want to say it's sci-fi with time travel in it?
I mean, it would be sci-fi as a given, right?
Yeah,
For
because
time travel. I
Well,
mean, it could be fantasy technically.
Could be steampunk time travel, right?
That's true. Yeah. I do like the thought of like let's do like sci-fi time travel.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a device is what powers the time travel effectively, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would also be fine with magic in a fantasy setting is the time travel, but like the fantasy setting is like real life effectively or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm more interested in sci-fi time travel.
I like that too.
Okay.
Cool. So sci-fi time travel.
Sci-fi time travel.
It could be, is it like more of a like dramatic sci-fi time travel?
Yeah, what are you feeling tone-wise? Are we leaning in on light, fluffy? Are we in a Becky Chambers book? Or are we like now I'm trying to think of something else. Or are we in a Katie Robert book here? Like what are we doing?
I think more towards the dramatic sounds interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Cool. So a dramatic sci-fi time traveling romance.
Perfect.
Sure.
You know, that really
sure
standard genre stereotype.
It's very standard. Yeah, exactly.
They have a whole section for it in the romance section. It's just separated out because there's so many of them.
Right. Okay. So I should probably record this somewhere. I will just open up a notepad for that. Here we go. Okay. So dramatic sci-fi time travel romance is our genre.
Yes. For some reason, that's not on the list.
I know. That's weird.
I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So veils and boundaries. I mean, for character creation, I don't know how much that will come into play. But like, I mean, for me, anything goes within reason, and I know you and trust you. So like my veils and boundaries are common sense.
Yeah. I think we have pretty similar ones just based on past experience. I think what I would say for this game, and especially since we are just making characters, is I would be very comfortable with calling out any veils or boundaries that we need to as we create the characters. If we discover anything that we're like, no, thank you.
We definitely employ like an X card sort of thing for that. That should be fine. Right.
I mean, because I am having trouble thinking of anything just from a character creation perspective to throw out there, especially since we've given it a PG-13 rating, right? Like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Let's see. Now we get to agree on a setting. So as you begin to create a pair of characters,
now that we're time traveling. So what we have to probably decide is what setting is, quote, real time.
Mm-hmm. Where and when they are. That's interesting. This is the default setting for this game is the present day, but you could choose any location and pretty much any time, it looks like. Okay. Well, I mean, if we're talking about technological time travel, the base setting should be future, right?
Yeah.
But like, are we talking Star Trek future or like Doctor Who future?
Or, yep. Sorry, I had to calculate. I had a moment of calculating those two expressions.
Uh-huh.
I kind of like Star Trek future, but obviously time travel has to not be an issue, like not be against, the rules.
Right, not against the rules of the Federation or whatever, right?
Yeah, like it has to be a thing that they've figured out if you can do it safely as long as you, do X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah, so there's like leisurely time travel allowed.
Yeah, because I think if we're doing time travel as a romance, the whole reason to throw time travel out is that obviously our dates are going to happen potentially in different times, right? Like, because instead of being like, I don't know what restaurant do you want to go to, it might be like, I don't know what time period do you want to go to, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a wild thing to
right?
have to worry about.
but I think if we don't kind of open that up as a possibility, then where will time travel come up, right?
Yeah, I do like a kind of exploratory like starfaring society, right?
Sure, yeah.
That also has time travel.
Right.
That is available as much as teleporters are available.
Right. Or like available as like you know, whatchamacallem, the hollow room.
Yeah, the holodecks.
Holodecks,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm bad at words.
No, it's fine.
I've watched a lot of Star Trek, but I cannot promise.
That's a wild thought of like the holodecks are replaced effectively by time travel chambers.
Time travel? Well, except that there are still totally things you could do in a holodeck that you couldn't do.
That's
through
fair.
Real time travel if you were actually going a place.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe it works kind of the same way, right? Like you go into like sort of a time travel chamber and like whatever happens within that chamber is happening like in that time for reals.
In that,
but as long as it happens within that confined space, it doesn't impact the rest of the timeline or something.
Yeah, it
Maybe
creates like some sort of like paradox
bubble.
prevention
right, like
bubble or something.
Yeah. And so you can't just like wander the whole world, but like
or do whatever you want, right?
Right. You get these like really like specific area time bubbles over a specific thing for while you're in there or something along those lines.
Have you seen Loki at all?
The series?
The series Loki on Disney?
I watched the first season and I watched like the first couple of the second season and I keep meaning to go back to it, but then there was a
Right. I mean, the first season should be enough for what I'm thinking of, right?
Yes.
The whole concept of pruning the timelines and stuff like that. Like I like the thought of it being like, you go back in time, you can do whatever you want, experience whatever you want, be as active or not within that time. And when you go, it resets back to the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, interesting.
So like you can't affect the timeline. You're just time tourists, effectively.
Yeah. You can just go look at it.
I mean, you can affect it for a personal experience, but like when you're gone, it goes back to the way it should have been.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the fact that would create like the multitude of potential time branches that would create if people are just using this as recreation is just like a lot. So this is a society that apparently doesn't care about that.
Exactly.
Sure.
Because it's not an issue. It's hand waved by science fiction.
Sure. They just go away. The time tunnels just go away.
Yeah.
So the game that I'm playing with Phil right now, which if you listen to Panda's Talking Games, then you have heard about this before, but we're playing a game called Long Live the Queen, and it does involve branching timelines, and the society that is in science fiction traveling backwards in these timelines thinks that when they leave, the timeline just closes and goes away, but it doesn't.
Oh,
right. Like that's the thing is they go back in these timelines, they mine all the resources out of them, and then they leave and everybody's like, oh, it'll be fine. This timeline just disappears, but it doesn't. You've just left this strip mined version of the timeline behind you.
Oh, that's horrible.
This is what I'm now thinking about.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's
but this
that
avoids
world.
that.
Sure, we're not going to think about that. This is a romance game.
No, we don't want tragedy in our romance game.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it is dramatical romance, so maybe a little bit of tragedy is okay as a treat.
We can have a little tragedy as a treat.
Yep.
Okay.
I do like the setting a lot. I don't know if a setting like this has come out at all. I'd be very curious if anybody that's listening knows of a setting that's like this. Let us know, because this sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I only know the personal one that I'm playing in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Character creation. Now that we have our setting, we've got our genre and our rating effectively. We agreed on a setting. And now we get to work on making a switch. So this is a very interesting part of character creation. And the switch, begin by considering how you are different from your co-player.
Okay.
This is me, Ryan, and you, Senda.
How we are different. Okay.
So we will chat with one another to find out our commonalities and differences and examples of differences between players, gender or sex, town, region, or country of origin, sexual orientation, ethnicity, politics, social group, job, age, etc. So we basically pick a category of something that we have differences on. And this becomes a character trait for the other person's character.
Okay.
So for instance,
you will also be different in the same way. Switch the difference with your partner. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, I am demi-gendered.
Yep.
So your character would then become demi-gendered.
Yes.
If we chose that as the difference.
Yeah. And then you would be cisgender.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you interested in?
I mean, honestly, almost anything is, I mean, it makes sense. Because like I'm pretty sure we're pretty similar on politics.
Yeah, I imagine that we are.
Yeah. I mean, country of origin is pretty much the same, and
yeah,
I don't think that one's as interesting
in this
sort of setting.
We have very similar jobs, even.
We do have very similar jobs, right? I'm sure our social group structure is relatively the same as well.
Probably pretty similar. Yep.
Yeah. Ethnicity seems to be pretty much the same as
similar.
well.
Mm-hmm.
I know we differ on gender or sex and sexual orientation.
Cool. We can do either one of those, and I am good with that. Yeah.
And age, of course, but
I don't know.
I think I've been closer age to you than you are to Phil. I'm in between. I'm going to be 45 this year. So
yeah, you are in the middle, but I am closer to you than I am to Phil. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I think gender or orientation might be the most interesting ones to play around with.
Yeah, I think I'm good with either of those. What is your orientation? Maybe we should just are we okay having this out on the mics?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm perfectly okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm straight poly.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm pan.
Nice.
And I don't know about the polyam part. It's been a region of exploration for me. So we'll see.
That's interesting. Do we want to go with that for the characters?
Different enough?
I mean, technically, kind of. I mean, like
technically different.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why not?
Sure. Why not? That works for me. Okay. I am. Oh, so the boxes on the character sheet then are the ones labeled switch. Is that what we're filling out? Perfect.
That is the switch.
Awesome.
So it looks like, honestly, it looks like we share the character sheet.
Oh.
So I don't know if you want me to fill out on my sheet or.
Oh, I see. It's both sides on the same one.
Yeah, it's wild.
Interesting. Okay. We can do whichever you want. I feel like, yeah. I think if you end up doing it, you'll end up doing all the typing. Is that cool with you?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So I'll be putting mine on the left and yours on the right. Sure. Why not?
That means I should probably go look at your character sheet instead of the one that I'm looking at.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it'll update automatically, but you can probably hit refresh or something. And
yeah,
I'll just save after every edit. That'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Okay. So that's all we know currently about our characters is my character will be pansexual and your character will be poly.
Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. That's a really interesting mechanic, like a little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah. Right up front. You have to build a connection, right? You have to build the trust.
Very similar vibes to the passing the character sheet in Starcrossed.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So we don't need to go through examples. We write the switch traits in the character sheet. And then unless that trait switched is gender, there's no restriction on what gender your character will be.
Except that they have to be someone that the other character would be attracted to.
Yes, that would make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, so I guess it depends on what your character's gender is
Yeah,
at that
I guess
point.
I was gonna say. I guess it depends. I have to admit that I usually default to she, her because it is my realm of experience. But I am also totally willing to do something else if you prefer.
No, I think that would make sense. And then I will probably just go with he, they.
Okay.
At that point.
And then cool, we can just make it really easy.
Yeah. Don't have to memorize new pronouns or anything like that. All right. I'll put that up in the character name column and we'll get actual names in there later. But that should work. Interesting. Now we get to do this interesting exploration of the character's favorite color and the word web.
Okay.
So we choose our character's favorite color and then we write that on the character sheet. And then each player will also write that in the middle of a blank sheet of paper to do a word web.
Ooh.
I don't know if I have one readily available.
I do.
Oh, I think I do here too. I just have to take stuff off of my...
Just rearrange for
notebook.
a second. Apologies for the paper sounds and all the weird noises of rearranging. They're now occurring. Okay.
That's fine.
We're set.
I have a pencil. Okay, cool. So we choose which player goes first. And on your turn, you draw a circle around your own character's color and choose a different word inspired by the color. For example, if the color was red, the player might say passion. And then you write the new word on the page and draw a line from the color to the first word. And then the other player thinks of a different word inspired by either the color itself or the word that the first player wrote on the page. So some word association going on here.
Yeah, cool.
Which is interesting.
It is super interesting. Neat. What? Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I mean, we can probably start with mine. That's fine.
Sure.
All right. I'm just going to be simple and go with my favorite color, which is teal.
Oh, no. I was going to say teal. Okay, now I have to pick up a different color. It's okay. You go.
That's fine. Okay. Teal. Technically dark teal, if we want to get semantic about it. I know. I look at your walls and I'm like, those look like pretty nice walls.
I really like them.
Uh-huh. Okay, dark teal. So then I have to write that on my sheet of paper.
Put a circle around it. It's very important.
Put a circle around it. And the first word that comes to mind is ocean.
Cool. That's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. So you have dark teal or ocean to work with.
Yeah. I think I'm going to tell you, quiet strength.
Oh.
Is that too many words? Because it's two words.
I think it's technically fine. We can do what we want.
I think we should just do it.
What is that stemming off of?
Ocean.
Ocean. Quiet strength. Ooh. Okay. Now I just need to figure out how much we have to do.
Yeah. How many words? A total of 12.
12. So not counting the color.
Yep.
Each player gets 6 words for this.
Okay.
So we've each had 1. Okay. So then I'm also going to branch off of ocean and say water.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you also off of ocean, salty.
Salty. Good. Good. I'm going to go off of dark teal and go with calm.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go off of salty and say
Ooh.
sarcastic.
Sarcastic. That's perfect. We're halfway there. Let's see. I'm trying to think of maybe another one off of dark teal.
Mhm.
I just have to have a weird favorite color. That's all.
Yeah. It's not like an easy one, like
Okay.
stoplights.
I know, right? Magical.
Oh, sure. I think I'm going to go off of, if you want to just connect this to both dark teal and magical,
Ooh.
I would like to say shiny because it's giving me like mermaid scale feelings, right?
Ooh. Did you like that?
Cool.
I'm trying to think of the word that I'm thinking of.
Right. There's a lot of really good visuals that I get from dark teal. Sometimes difficult to express in like a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go off of, let's see, dark teal, musical.
Interesting. I think I want to go off of ocean and say clear. Or actually, why don't you do water to clear?
Water. Sure. We got one more each.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot is coming off of ocean there.
Yeah. Ocean has a lot of inspiration.
Okay. Off of magical, I'm going to have mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one last word.
Yeah. Why don't you do off of mysterious, do cloaked?
Ooh.
Because why not?
Why not? All right. We got our 12 words.
Okay.
Interesting. So I think we do the same for you as well.
Yeah. So since you took teal.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I offered you going first. I think that I'm going to just say, and I'll make it a little bit easier for us. I'm going to say green.
Green. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think my first word is going to be, off of green is going to be leaves.
Leaves. Okay. Off of leaves, I'll do forest.
Mm-hmm. Off of leaves, I'm gonna do soft.
Oh, nice. Let's see. Off of green, I think I'm gonna do lagoon.
Ooh, interesting. I like it.
Like that tropical sort of.
Yeah, that really like blue-green water. Yeah. Actually, off of lagoon, then I'm gonna do warm.
Ooh.
I think we've done 3 each right now, or I've done 3 and you've done 2 actually.
Yeah, interesting. Off of soft, comforting.
Off of green, I'm also gonna do glowing.
Ooh. Off of glowing, let's do bright.
I'm looking for a word. Right? Like this is one of those interesting moments that would describe the way that you like see a firefly like light up and then go dark and then light up again and go dark.
Yeah.
Maybe, oh my goodness, I forgot to mute my phone.
That's fine.
I'm a professional. Maybe like fleeting or
So like the action of the glowing.
Well, like the appear, disappear, like
yeah.
But it returns, right? I don't know if I have a word for that. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That.
How do you encapsulate that concept into a single word?
I'm just going to write down firefly.
I think that's good. I think that's that firefly.
Might have been the word, right? Like why did I go down that
These are concepts. That's fine.
Yeah. Firefly off of glowing. Okay.
Excellent. Okay. Off of firefly. Flighty.
Okay.
I think we each get one more.
Yeah. Because that puts us at 10. Thinking this gets harder.
I know it really does. like you get more words, but like
yeah, but then you're like you have to think more about the concepts because you've done a lot of the easy ones. For sure. Off of forest, I'm going to put I just forgot the word. I'm going to put quiet.
Quiet. Okay, very nice. Interesting. Because I don't know if we use all of these as our traits or if we just get inspiration about our traits from these.
Sure.
But off of Lagoon,
Yeah.
let's put lively.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think that's 12, right? 1, 2,
That
3,
is 12,
4,
yep.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Perfect. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so these words are used to inspire your character's traits. So now, brainstorming for traits, we look at the word web around your character's favorite color and imagine what it might tell you about your character. What personality traits do these words suggest? What jobs might they represent? What interests would follow from them? Are there other words they bring to mind? So you make notes on the page and share your ideas with your co-player. If you find connections between the two characters, include them in your brainstorming.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Well, the lagoon in the ocean is a definite connection point. I'm not sure how that will necessarily connect for us in terms of traits at this point, but just to keep in mind.
That's partly why I said it.
Yeah.
Just metagaming it a little
you
bit.
You were
there.
totally metagaming it. Yeah. Perfect.
Uh-huh. I like that.
Cool. Create traits as follows. But I think, so what jobs might they represent? This is,
yeah.
I mean, we get to pretty much make up whatever job we want because it's sci-fi, right?
Right, exactly. So let's see, what does it say? From these words and ideas, you create traits as follows. Traits are words or short statements about the character. Many games in this volume use traits. In Breaking the Ice, they are divided into the categories self, work, and play on the character sheet. So there are different self traits, work traits, and play traits that you can have. Self includes temperament, personality, home, pets, family, friends. Work includes career, vocation, or calling. And play includes hobbies and interests. And new traits can be created at any time. Okay. That's really interesting. So, like, you want to choose 4 to 6 traits total, with at least 1 in each category, it sounds like. And then you'll add many more traits throughout the game. So I think 4 to 6 is a good thing to shoot for, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So like we look at our own personal web and kind of also look for the connections. Like I would say Firefly and Magical.
Yeah.
Or shiny. Both of them would kind of
connect.
Yeah, shiny and glowing.
I mean, so what I'm starting to think about this person is that she, like, I don't know why this combination of things, and maybe it's because the word Firefly is on here and I am now thinking about the mechanic from Firefly, but it's feeling a little bit like the kind of person who would be very interested in an ADHD way like me in a job that takes you to a different place every day, and maybe doing something like maintaining the large ship thing.
the large ship thing? Are we talking about the engines or the
talking about like
the time travel?
Just the ship. It's like if I've sort of decided that we're on some sort of large ship apparently.
Sure, that makes sense.
But I was thinking, space station. That's what I was going for, right? Like if you're living on a space station and like somebody's got to be maintaining some of this stuff, right? There's probably more than one person.
Yeah.
There's a lot to maintain.
This is like the Miles O'Brien of DS9 fame.
Right. Except like the cute, less girly ADHD version.
Yeah.
Who likes bright, shiny lights and is excited to tinker with things and see if she can make them better, which probably sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But I think that she maybe also is sometimes better at machines than people because she has this quiet on her sheet also.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting. Now I've got like cloaked, mysterious, magical on here.
You're playing the sci-fi version of Magical Mr. Mistopheles.
It's really interesting. Like, I'm trying to think of my character's position because I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're both inhabitants of the same space station.
I feel like that makes life easy. Yep.
Yeah. So
live
space
here.
stations are big,
Space stations are
city-sized
big.
or big or
Yes,
bigger,
you know,
right?
the big ship thing.
Yeah, the big ship things that stay in one place.
In place, yeah. Big,
Yeah.
like, and they have thingies, and then you like swirl around them
Yeah.
with the camera with really slow music.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
With epic orchestral music playing.
Yeah, those guys.
We're good. But I mean, I've got the quiet strength, the calm. This is somebody that's like good in the crisis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it is.
So this is somebody that is I'm wondering, because like, okay, we've got the calm, we've got the quiet strength, mysterious and cloaked. What if I'm like a security officer or so, like for the station, trying to keep people safe and whatnot.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Security officer and the mechanic going on a date.
Going on a date.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So under work, that's an easy trait to define.
Right. I think we just figured that one out for both of us.
Yeah. Are you the head mechanic?
Sure. Yeah, that makes things more interesting. Okay. Well, I am either the head mechanic or I'm like the lowest apprentice, right? So one of those two.
Let's both be like the heads of our departments.
Okay, cool. Because that
because
might be
then
some
there's no
interesting
weird
conflict.
power dynamic sort of thing going
that
on,
too.
right? But like,
yes, that's also good.
So yeah, the head station mechanic and the head security officer, which would happen if this were a sci-fi television series, right?
Absolutely would.
Yeah, because the main characters would be the people in charge, right?
Yes, the head people. Yes, 100%.
This makes sense to me. Perfect. Okay, so we got our jobs. So that's 1 out of 4 or 6 traits.
Woohoo! 1 down, 3 to 5 to go.
Right.
Let's see. So that's kind of work. Self.
Yeah, self. Interesting examples they have in the book for self for this character that they were working with. Fast driver, lives at parents' house, short temper, dog owner, foodie, shy, right?
I think I actually said some when we were talking about this because I think
so too.
Yeah, because there's the one that I can immediately think of that I said was better with machines, right? Than people. That's definitely a self trait.
Yeah, better with machines than people, certainly.
And I think she's really let me think about the wording for this, right? I think she's really interested in I think she likes to theorize and then prove a theory, right? Like on how to make things better. I'm trying to think of how to say that in less words as a trait. So maybe she's an experimenter.
Would that be self or play?
Interesting question.
Because I could see it working for both.
I could see it working for both too. I think it's self in this case because I don't think that it embodies a hobby or a thing that she does for fun. I think that it encompasses her work and her play and like potentially her approach to everything, right? Like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Would ADHD be another self?
We don't have to give my character ADHD just because I have ADHD.
I know. So for my traits for self, I put currently good in a crisis and keeps to himself in public.
Yeah. Yeah. Mysterious.
Yeah.
Totally mysterious.
I do like that. I do like that salty sarcasm.
Yes. That's good. Let me think. And like, I feel like we should put something in play and then see if that makes us feel like we're rounded out enough.
Yeah, exactly. I put salty sarcasm with friends.
With friends in play. That makes sense.
Is it play? Yeah, it'd play. Yeah, that would make sense. Let's Let's see.
I think that this person is an amateur gardener of subterranean plants. I think, okay, just under play, you could just put subterranean plants, right? Because they glow.
Nice.
So like maybe she like has a collection that she tends of like glowing plants, basically.
Oh, I love that. I play an instrument.
Oh yes. What instrument do you play? Is
Do
it
I
an
just wanna-
instrument that we know, or is it a sci-fi instrument?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because like, I think either way it could be interesting. Like, what sort of instruments? What sort of instrument would look fun in zero gravity too? Because I'm sure there's going to be some of that.
Oh, well, so do you know Imogen Heap by any chance?
Yes.
So she has that instrument that
personally.
she puts it on her hands. And then what she does with her fingers, like
I saw that.
Controls
It's
everything.
wild.
Yeah, like imagine doing that in 0G. Like you could do more than just your hands. It could be the placement of your entire person.
Yeah. So gosh, what would that be?
What is it called? It's like body music or something. I don't know.
Body rock.
Body rock. Oh man. Oh man, he's a body rocker.
Body rocker. Yeah. But like body controlled music. I don't know.
Yeah, because once it's digital, you can make a lot of different sounds out of it.
Yeah. It's almost like kind of like an orchestra, like a conductor.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like self body conductor.
Yeah, like self orchestra solo body.
Yeah,
it's solo body orc.
Solo body orchestra. Yeah, solo body orchestra. That's cool. We just invented a new genre of music.
And someone out there should create this instrument now for us because it sounds really neat.
It technically might exist.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
That's really cool.
0G part would be difficult to make it happen.
Yeah, we don't have easy access to that right now.
Not really. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's cool though. A nice musical instrument there. Trying to think.
I think that my character, one of her other play traits is that she is a swimmer. Right?
Oh, that's lovely because I was thinking I was thinking water polo.
There you go. Right? Cool. So they do water sports, but not in the dirty way.
Right, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Water polo and swimming. That's beautiful. I like that. How many do I have? 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6.
Yeah.
1,
I think
2,
that
3,
gives
4,
me
5.
5. So I think that's probably pretty good.
Yeah. And of course there's space for a whole bunch more.
Yep.
As we go. So that should be fine. So that just means that we have a name to do for our character.
The hardest
if we haven't
part.
done so already. I know it is the hardest part, isn't it?
This is the part where I go out to the internet and I say sci-fi name generator. And then I end up with things like Idella Mifflin that nobody can spell.
It's true. Right. Cyberpunk male names. Interesting. Space, maybe? No, that's boring. I do like the cyberpunk names. Oh, they've got like Star Trek universe or Serenity. That's cool.
Okay, generate names. Oh, wow. This one just generated me names in addition to like little blurbs about them.
Oh,
which is
cool.
Really cool. Like it just crafted like little one blurb sentences about who they are. I'm going to ignore that part because I don't care. But I think that my character is Lyra Voxis.
How do you spell that?
Lira, and then last name Voxis, Voxis.
Nice. My upcoming D&D character's name is Lyra,
Oh, interesting.
only with a Y.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is my character's name? Head of security. Space names. Serenity names? That's not a bad one. Vincent Ward.
Oh, that's good.
Vincent Ward, he, they. And Lyra Voxis.
Aw.
Commander Ward.
Yes. Wow.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah. Love
so
it.
now we get to choose a conflict. After traits have been chosen, you have some sense of your character as a person take turns asking each other the following question. What is problematic for your character about going on this date?
Oh, no. Good.
Uh-huh.
What is problematic for my character about going on this date? Is there an issue with like fraternizing, or are we leaving that aside because we're both the heads of our departments?
I think as long as it's lateral, it's fine.
It's fine. Yep. Okay. I mean, because
Yeah, as
like
long as-
so many people on the space station are employed by the space station, like you can't
Yeah.
expect them to not have relationships with each other.
Exactly.
Super valid. Okay. Good. Okay, let me just I might just verbally process some stuff and
Yeah,
see
please.
if you can like help me
Mhm.
narrow it down.
Sure.
So it is interesting because you are the head of security. So I feel like there's probably something about you being the head of security specifically that is potentially an issue. Maybe we've had a conflict before over somebody getting in trouble for a thing that was against the rules, but I was like, just because it's against the rules doesn't mean it was wrong. Are we? I guess is there a conflict in that maybe there's a chaos versus law spectrum piece
that's
here that is not
interesting.
quite aligned?
That's an interesting approach. Yeah, I think that would be a valid conflict, right?
Yeah. I mean, is that okay with you, and would it interest you in play?
Yeah, I think so, because like, a head of security, you got to follow the rules. I'm sure he bends them on
Right.
many occasions.
Right.
Right? I don't
Right.
think he'll ever break the rules per
Right.
se,
Yeah.
unless he has to for the greater good.
Right.
Yeah. So I like that chaos versus law conflict
Yeah. And I don't.
could definitely
yeah.
come into play. Because this conflict mechanically is we invoke this during each scene or turn. You can invoke the conflict to roll extra dice.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So like I think it has expressed itself in the past with Lyra sometimes disagreeing with some of the calls that Vincent has made in specific situations about security.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
For Vincent, I think he's worried about being distracted from his duties.
Yeah, that's
He
super
doesn't
fair.
want to make a critical mistake
Yeah.
because, his head's in the clouds.
Sure. Yeah.
Those are interesting conflicts.
I am just going to call out some of the first one on the sheet as an example is babysitting a leopard.
What?
What?
Like the other ones make sense.
The other ones are
but
like, has dated the other character's older brother or something, right? But like, is babysitting a leopard?
I guess it's brilliant that that's included because it just shows the wide range of what your conflicts could be.
Just the breadth. I mean, that would be a conflict for me dating someone if I was scared to go to where we were having the date because there was a leopard.
Yeah. Don't mind my leopard. I'm just babysitting for a while.
Just babysitting
It's my friend's leopard.
Yeah, it's just chilling in my house, right? Like,
yeah, it's fine.
It's
Perfectly
fine.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
So the conflict you chose will be a theme throughout the game. So yeah, I think we got some good juicy conflict there. Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful.
And compatibilities. During the game, characters gain special traits called compatibilities. The characters share these traits. Compatibilities are created when 4 successes are achieved during a turn. And we don't have to worry about that right now because we're not playing.
Yeah.
But that is good to know for the future. And that's character creation.
That is character creation.
We did it.
Wow. That was cool. I really like the word bubble part.
Yeah, that was so interesting.
I guess there's more of a structure about how we should have a conversation about this if I actually go back to your notes. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate everyone listening for being patient with me as a stand-in host.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I want to get into some quick discussion about the process that we just went through. And I think we'll do this in the D20 for your thoughts segment of the show.
D20 for your thoughts?
So what sort of story do these character sheets tell us about the gameplay experience before we even sit down to play?
Yeah. I didn't notice they were two-sided for the same game at first.
That's very cool. I didn't notice it at first either. And I think, it says a lot about the fact that like you're really just sharing kind of the same information. And I imagine if we were sitting at a table playing, we'd probably each have the sheet in front of us, but it would have the same information on it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it tells me that you're playing a couple.
Yeah.
Right. You're playing 2 people that are bound together through these dates.
Yeah.
And sharing the attraction, sharing the compatibilities, those are down the middle. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And then each of yourselves are on the other sides of the sheet. And then you have like a very bare bones of the rules below all of that, below your traits. It's very simple, straightforward. And really kind of it's in tune with the whole point of the game.
I have to say that I love it. It's one of my favorite things when there's space on the character sheet for just the super brief, like quick version to keep you going so that you don't have to reference the book itself. I'm a really big fan of that in games in general. And I don't think that this is any exception, right? Like, and so it just means that it's there as you're doing it. But it also speaks to the style of game that it is from the perspective of like rules complication that you can get. It's a very brief summary. If you needed to know how any of these mechanics worked, you would need to go back to the rules, right? But having already read the rules, you could just glance at this and be like, oh, yes, this is the step we're on, right?
Exactly, yeah. And like the roll steps are in there, like, okay, set the scene. Now you roll your attraction dice, roll your bonus dice, do your rerolls. Yeah. Like it gives you the order you need to follow. And there's a very ritualistic like aspect to figuring out the roles and everything in this game, which is really cool.
Yeah, agree.
What do we think of character creation and how does Breaking the Ice character creation stack up to other games we've played? I know both of us have created many a character for many a games.
Yeah, I have never done a word bubble for any other character creation that I've done. Yeah, and I think that was very cool. And it did kind of give me a really good starting point to start creating traits from. I really enjoyed that.
I think I touched every single one of them.
Yeah, I think I did too.
And the fact like it was seamless, but the fact that we were back and forthing on each other's characters. Was fascinating.
It means that we were creating aspects that then got pulled into the traits from us personally. So I really like in games that expect you to have or require an emotional investment from the player. I really like having aspects where you have some direct input on that to fake your way through that initial connection, right?
Yeah.
Without having to spend a lot of time with that character playing them before you get that emotional investment. And I think the word bubbles kind of did that, right? Because it invested you in my character and me in your character, because I have a bunch of words on yours and you on mine. Like, in addition to the take a real thing about yourself and switch it.
Yeah.
Which is really smart.
That was like, that's such an interesting, like, we went pretty basic because, we know each other and we're very similar to one another. So we're like, well, what are our differences?
What are some differences?
That are fast enough to do in a podcasting format.
Yes,
right? Because like
right?
I can imagine having like an hour-long conversation with the other player if you don't know each other, especially.
Yeah.
Like going into it and be like, okay, well, you're literally on a date making your characters.
Making a date. And this game does have a reputation for being the kind of game that you would play on an actual date too.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I could totally see why, right? Because you have to share some things about yourself and some incidental things about yourself just in the process of the word bubble, again, because you're sharing things about how you make connections, right? And like what you connect with stuff. So
psychological word
really
association.
Interesting. Yes, psychological word association. So in the game Turning Point, which is a game that I wrote with Phil Vecchione, we did something similar to the Switch part, also as a specific bid for emotional investment in a character, right? And so seeing it in this game, I'm like, oh man, this is the game that preceded us, like that created that possibility for us. Because I mean, maybe it started before this, right? But we're talking about 2005, and Emily Kerbos is a very smart game designer. So like, it is totally possible that this is the source material that created that connection for us too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting to see, like, especially from 2005, like that was kind of the initial turning point of RPGs, pun intended.
Turning point.
Where things started going into that more like story forward narrative sort of experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of people experimenting.
Yeah, and seeing how those experimentations kind of evolved over time is really cool to see.
Yeah, cool.
I like this a lot.
Me too. Okay, so now we have to ask, and this is funny to ask in this situation. I think, how would the story play out for these characters? And I think I have to ask for these characters in this situation instead of as individuals, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because like, okay, so head of security and the head of engineering effectively, right? For the space station, in a world where we can time travel to wherever we want.
Yeah. I want them to work out and live happily ever after.
Absolutely. But my question is, where is the first place they go?
Where would they go on
Where's
their
the first time they go?
Oh man. Oh, let's see. Water polo, swimming. Like, would they do something water related that had a cool historical element, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think maybe what that might be. Let's go swimming with some dinosaurs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
That sounds frightening though, too, right? It
sounds slightly terrifying, but if you're, sci-fi future, maybe you got the right diving equipment to deal with that.
Yeah, I do like the thought of like how dangerous is it going back in time? Like if you die, do you get like zapped back before you actually die? Right. Or
is this somewhat similar to a very realistic Hollow experience, or is this like you are facing the dangers of the time period that you jump to? Yeah, I don't know.
I do like the thought of it having an adjustable level. So like thrill seekers can go to the past to like be like, I'm fighting for my life here. Yeah. But if you're just casuals going on a date, you could travel maybe you have the safety settings are all the way up.
Yeah.
So like if danger gets to the point of deadly, you get just zapped back and now everything's back to the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense to me. So let's go swimming with dinosaurs.
Let's go swimming with dinosaurs.
Perfect.
Why not?
Why not?
That's really cool.
Yeah. Good. Second date.
Second date. Okay.
It's tricky because we might have found more attractions on the first date.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, addendum to the first date.
Yeah.
Swimming with dinosaurs. Afterwards, picnic on like a thing overlooking the ocean.
Oh,
like
yeah.
at sunset, right?
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. It's like literally solitile, like the only two people in the entire world.
Literally in the world. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
That's cool. Second date. Gosh. Let's see. Subterranean plants. Kinda. What if we go spelunking?
Yeah. Yep. We could do that.
That could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
Like on not like on Earth, but like on an alien world.
Ooh, yes. Spelunking for alien.
That is known for like really exotic, like cool, glowy plants of sorts.
I love it. Yeah. I feel like that would be successful.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Third date.
Third date.
I mean, it's interesting, right? We
right?
have to assume that it's going well, right?
Yeah.
Because we've decided that we want them to have a happy ending. So, third date, one of his solo body orc concerts.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And then followed up with like date night after.
Oh, I like that after show.
Yeah.
Sort of deal.
Like the after show. Mm-hmm.
What if I moonlight my solo concerts like in a different time period?
Oh, yes.
So like I go to different time periods and put on this one night only.
This one night only wild show, right? So it's like the World's Fair, and it's like you're showing it off as a new invention or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And yeah.
Just blow everybody's minds.
And then you leave and it's like it never happened.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Perfect.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. One time engagement. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I think these two would hit it off.
I think so. I think they've got enough in common.
Yeah. I think they can get past their conflicts. You know, I mean, he already moonlights as, you know, a like historical, you know, body synth orchestra person. So,
I mean, once she knows that, she might be more interested. Yeah,
exactly. No, I think that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the part where we take things up a level and talk about character advancement in this game.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
And obviously, there are not level ups that you have, but your relationship advances.
That makes more sense.
So this is like the nitty gritty mechanical details of how that works. So during each turn on a date, of which there are 4 to 6 turns per date, the guide player awards dice to the active player for like narrative decisions that happen. So you start with your attraction dice pool. And if you do up to 3 things in the menu for play, there's like a menu in the book that has like things you can do on your dates. If you do 3 of them that are positive, you get up to 3 more dice for this pool as bonus dice.
Nice.
You roll all of those together at the same time. Rolling those gives you your attraction roll. Mm-hmm. And every 5 or 6 is a success, and 1 through 4 is a failure. And if you have enough successes to gain an attraction level, you may choose to stop and gain a new attraction level. If you don't want to stop, you can actually choose to reroll any number of the failures. And for every rerolled failure you choose to do, you need to narrate one thing that goes wrong or puts you into a bad light.
Amazing. I love it.
It's very good.
I got to go play this game.
I do too. It's amazing. And then if you get 4 successes, you get that compatibility, which are basically compatibility traits that you share with one another, which is really cool. And those compatibilities are permanent. But you can also try for multiple attraction levels or a mix of these rewards. So the more successes you get, the more blend of cool stuff you can get.
Yeah, cool.
You could also choose to fail the failures as well and just let it be where it is. And also once per turn at any time, you can bring a conflict into the narrative, which gives you those 3 bonus dice, those 3 conflict dice to be rolled. Yeah.
On which you have a 66% chance of rolling a failure. Yeah, perfect.
I need to die, but like the chances of getting an extra success,
might be good.
Not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We all have rolled 3d6 for our D&D characters' attributes at times and have gotten wonderful results in all of them. Across the board somehow.
Across the board. Last night I was playing Cortex and I had 2 d8s and a d10 and I rolled 3 8s. And I was like, whoocha! Yeah.
Absolutely. Apparently attraction levels can fluctuate in the game. But compatibilities are forever. And then once the date is over, you roll that reality check like we talked about. And that's 1 die for every attraction level that you acquired during the date. And then 5s and 6s, you can make that attraction level permanent. And then all the additional attraction levels, you have to get rid of at the end if you don't get them.
Get them. Interesting. Yeah.
And that's how you advance your relationships with one another.
Amazing.
It's pure luck after you do a lot of work.
Yeah. No. That's I'm sort of here for that though. So yeah.
It's an interesting mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I love it.
Are we ready to close this out then?
I think so.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I mean, me as a guest, us. Thank you so much for joining the Character Creation Cast for the first episode of Duo and Solo Romance RPG series episodes, where we started with Breaking the Ice.
And thank you to everybody for listening. Please join us next week for another romantic duo game called You Never Told Me by our guest today, Senda.
Woohoo!
Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
I was so glad that Senda was able to join me for this episode. I know Amelia is recovering from ECT, so we all wish her well. And she is also extraordinarily busy nowadays. Hopefully that will settle down soon. But Senda, very, very last minute, just the night before, agreed to join me to record this the night before the release of this episode. And it went really well. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed learning about this game. I really do want to play it. It's giving me some major star-crossed vibes in like a completely different way. It's really cool. I loved it. Emily Care Boss is a phenomenal game designer and has done so much for the TTRPG community as a whole. I highly recommend checking out this romance trilogy. It is so worth it. I wish we could cover all the games in it, but we just do not have the time for that. But if this piques your interest, check the show notes and we'll have a link to the romance trilogy for you. But before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action. First up, exciting things keep happening over on the One Shot Network. You can check it all out at oneshotpodcast.com. Here are the shows that I personally have a hand in editing and have episodes coming out just this week. Tomorrow, Mystery County comes out with another episode, continuing their 4th season. It is a hilarious show, as usual. And if you missed the last couple of episodes, it is worth catching up for if you're behind on it. A new public Starwhal is also coming out tomorrow as well, and we are getting into the final episodes of the first season of the show. Very exciting episodes. So now is a phenomenal time to get into that if you haven't yet. Also coming out tomorrow should be another episode of Skyjoust. Then on Wednesday, Campaign Skyjacks continues the Jolly Jack arc with Margaret. And finally, Adventure Capitalists Team LA should be out on Wednesday as well, with Team Chicago set for this coming Friday. We're getting to the end of both Adventure Capitalists and Skyjoust, so the weeks are packed, but this means you have some time to catch up before the finales hit. Next, if you haven't checked out the Patreon or the Discord yet, now is a great time to do so. We have over 19 stickers we would love to send you at the $10 level, some custom C3 dice, as well as personalized thank you cards at the $5 level and up, and bonus chit-chat episodes and more at the $1 and up level. Even bonus outtakes and other periodic information is out there for our free patrons, and a future newsletter that we are hoping to get back to once things settle down. We just can never predict when that will happen. You can check all of these out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast, or join us on the Discord for discussions and the latest show announcements at discord.charactercreationcast.com. In addition to all of that, we like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal, so let's do that right now. DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, Eric Bonts, and Daryl Howlady II, we are so grateful to have you here. Thank you. Shadim Cabal, the Shyest Barbarian, and Benjamin Sweetie, we can't thank you enough, but we will keep on trying anyway. Rob Fletcher, Kevin Brown, and Tentacle Duck, we are so grateful to all of you as well. Thank you. John Adamus, A3 Sketchpad, and Cole McCallum, you rock. Thank you. Carlos Salazar, Eric S., and Ian Potmeyer, thanks for your continued support. Thanks to Liam G., Brian Colm, and Garden GM. We are so glad to have you here with us. Thank you, Tanglefoot, Blue Kryptonite, and Danny. So glad to have you backing us. Thank you, Nicole Trainer, Liam Murray, and Kenning. Your support brings us so much joy. Thank you. Brian Kurtz, Mark E. Fair, and Drew Owen, thanks for making all of this possible. And finally, Oz, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our future patrons. This is where we need your help right now. Our Patreon currently doesn't quite cover our operating costs every month between the podcast costs and the Patreon rewards, so we need you to help us get back to a sustainable level. Just 1 or 2 more campaign level patrons will certainly get us there for now, but if you are able to chip in even a little bit, or even just sign up for the free tier to get exclusive updates, that would mean the world to us. Our community is fantastic, and the patrons have been a huge part in making it a beautiful place. So check it out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. That's all we have for today's episode. Join us here next week where we'll be covering Senda's game, You Never Told Me, and we might even have Senda back with us to cover that one as well. We'll see if we can line that up. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Boelter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Boelter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.